It's with great pleasure that I welcome our first speaker and honored guest, Chief Joe Alphonse. Chief Joe Alphonse has been the tribal chairman of the Tsilhqot'in National Government since 2010 and elected chief of the Tkemlups government since 2009. From 2000 to 2009, Chief Joe Alphonse acted as the Director of Government and Services for the Tsilhqot'in National Government and Services at the Tsilhqot'in. For 1997, he attended Lethbridge Community College for Environmental and Political Science and managed Punky Lake Wilderness Camp Society in 2000. Chief Joe Alphonse also acted as council member of the Tkemlups from 1989 to 1993. Alphonse played an instrumental role in the Tsilhqot'in Nation versus British Columbia Aboriginal title case. As a fluent Tsilhqot'in speaker, Chief Alphonse is fifth-generation Tsilhqot'in chief and the direct descendant of Chief Anahem, the Grand Chief of the Tsilhqot'in Nation during the Tkemlups War of 1864. Chief Alphonse has brought stability, consistency, and respectability into the many roles he has been honored to hold within his community and nation. Please help me welcome Chief Alphonse to the stage.
Chanatlia, Tingulun, Dinwanaya, Chikayanas son, Tsilhqot'in Nation, and Agantania, Duhunan Chit, Tanasai, Chikayanas son, Skakani Jali, the author on the Goyatastic, Kortinai Dil, Hutiji Dani Heat leader out Chogoyatastic. I am Chief Joe Alphonse. I first off would like to acknowledge being on Shuswap territory, Chief Shane community traditional area. It's an honor to be here to speak. This is a little different than what I'm used to. I usually have a Tsilhqot'in mine or Tkemlups on the other end, and my blood level's really flowing, and so it's trying to learn how to shift gears and pass on our experience on this case and what we had to do in order to win title, the history. It's been a long history. This is a 150-year struggle for my nation, Tsilhqot'in. We did in the 1860s, we declared war on non-Aboriginal. And there may have been a little over 20 people that were killed in different skirmishes in the Tsilhqot'in. The colony of British Columbia planned on building a roadway through BC, and they were going to go from Victoria. They had two options: Victoria to New Westminster or up the Fraser Canyon, or Victoria to Campbell River and then up Butte Inlet. And they decided to go that route, and as was customary to come into our territory, our people believe you had to pay a fee. You couldn't just come through our territory. During that time and era, if you're a non-Tsilhqot'in person, you're in Tsilhqot'in land, you had to be accompanied by a Tsilhqot'in guide. The road crew said that they weren't going to be paying a fee, and if you guys don't back down, we're going to bring smallpox back to your people. That was a real fear for our people. And what you don't hear in a lot of the books is that they took some Tsilhqot'in. And they took one of the daughters to one of the warriors and for entertainment, and that was it. Two of the main things we fought for as Tsilhqot'in people was land, protection of our women and children. So that was an act of war as far as we were concerned. We declared war on them. Concluding that, the colony of British Columbia sent up a militia. And it's funny, we as Tsilhqot'in people, as First Nation people, we take pride in our oral history. Very, very important to us. Thank the lady for doing a drum song. That's part of who we were as First Nation. Very spiritual people. Everything we did, from meetings, picking berries, we always had a drum song and a prayer. So I thank you for doing that here. That's what we have to do and go back to doing. So the Tsilhqot'in War, when they came through, our pride in our own oral history. But what happened in our case was not only did we have our oral history, but when they chased our warriors around trying to find them, they would write down, this is a Tsilhqot'in fishing village site. This is Chief Anaham's hunting site location camp. This is Siwash Bridge, a fishing area, so on and so forth. We actually got into court. We told our stories, and we follow Aboriginal right and title. We have to. We're First Nation people. We live in pretty dire situations, third world conditions. Some of our homes, I wouldn't invite any of you guys to sleep in, and yet that's what we have to live in. You know, and people might look at us and think, oh, you guys are harsh. You guys are doing this to pull away from Canada. You guys are doing this, and you guys are being really harsh with government or industry. Well, if you got to see where we're coming from, you'd understand. Quality life on reserve has to improve. This is Canada. It's 2014. I don't have to look far to be inspired. Before contact, we look all around our territory and all the resources, the trees, whatever, the animals. Tsilhqot'in, we had Anaham Peak, obsidian rock. It's only 4 places in North America that had that. That became trade item. Western Canada jokingly used to say that we controlled the arms race before contact because we had obsidian rock. You know, we lived on all of those resources to make us independent. And we were proud. Canada and British Columbia, when they came in, they took that ability away from us. They're going to look after us. Put us on Indian reserve land. We haven't been looked after. So we don't want anyone looking after us either. Want access to those natural resources in our territory, to become independent, and to stand alone and to be proud again. That's what this is about. So in our stories we're told, they cross-reference our oral history with their militia that went running all over the Tsilhqot'in and couldn't find any Tsilhqot'in people. Them stories gel together. They take science, they cross-reference that with our stories. When we're studying cases before us, starting from Frank Calder and a lot of other cases, you know, you name them, Sparrow decision, my cousin Willie Alphonse decision, study every one of them and analyze. Tkemlups decision came down. Suddenly a window sprung open, and we were like, excellent, this is what we were waiting for. It's Canada's and the Supreme Court's recognition, acknowledgement of oral history. That was the opportunity we waited for. Now we have an open window. We had struggles, big struggles, as Tsilhqot'in people. 6 Tsilhqot'in communities, some agree with, some didn't agree with the lawyers. We should use another firm. That was my job, my role. 25 years, that's just the most recent struggle. This started 150 years ago. From the time of that roadblock back over Henry's Crossing to now, you know, the only 2 people that are still on the team is Chief Roger William and myself. And we've seen everything this case is thrown at the Tsilhqot'in Nation. We've seen it, we've lived it, we've analyzed it, we've strategized, we've argued, we've fought. You know, one of our own communities did everything they could to sabotage it because he wanted the court case name to be in his name. Little peddly little things like that. Those are very real stuff that we have to deal with. That was my job as tribal council director. I took care of that stuff. 5th generation chief now. I come from a hereditary family. My mom's side of the family, Chief Anaham. My dad's side's the warrior side, and a lot of times that's what I need to get us through. Because any problem I run into, it's always, we'll just beat the shit out of them, you know. But long term, that doesn't, and thank God the hereditary side always takes over. Knowing your history, knowing who you are, knowing how we use the land in the past, talking with our community members. As a tribal council worker, I had many roles. I started as a fishery worker out at Fish Lake. I heard there was a roadblock down at Henry's Crossing. I ran down every evening. They had lots of panic there. Of course I'm going to be there. You guys doing the right thing. And that eventually led to become our title case, hunting and fishing to Aboriginal right title. When Tkemlups came down, we had Don Ryan come down. He was the technical person behind the Tkemlups decision. He told us, you focus on a small area in the heart of your territory where there's no overlap issues. You focus on it, you establish that. Once you establish that, you take that and you apply that to the rest of your territory. That's what we did. That was our goal. That's what we set out to do. But the case mainly as an individual community. And where the case was really solidified was when the whole nation decided to embrace and to do everything they can to support the case. As Tsilhqot'in people, we don't look at this as Enaham's area. I got Chief Bernie Mack with me from Astila. I can go behind his community. That's my area. I can hunt there. I can fish there. He can come behind my community area. And the same thing. We look at that nation boundary. We don't try to create boundaries amongst Tsilhqot'in people. Our belief system as Tsilhqot'in was we never want to piss off another Tsilhqot'in because we don't know when we might have to rely upon them and need them. As tribal council worker, young worker, I'd gone through all of our communities. I had to. To this day, I'm still probably the only person that's been to every house in the Tsilhqot'in Nation. I went door to door. It took me 4 months, but I got to every house, every reserve. I spent a week at a time. You want to represent your people, get to know your people. Have tea with them, bannock with them in their home, bring them a little gift. You build trust. After the Tsilhqot'in War, our families, they didn't trust each other. When that militia came, they under a flag of truce, our warriors were asked to go in and have peace talks, peace accord talks. They went in when they were shackled, brought to Quinal. They were tried as murderers. Latas Ain, the head Tsilhqot'in war chief, said this was not war. This was not murder, I should say. This was an act of war. That was his last statement. What Judge Begbie did was created identity for us as Tsilhqot'in people. That's the first thing we were taught. You were betrayed by white government. Our people don't trust white government. 5 years ago, I had an RCMP officer come and said, what are your people talking about? So what are you talking about? Every last Tsilhqot'in person I stopped, they turn around, they say, you bastards hung our chiefs. I said, everyone. I don't know what they're talking about. What are they talking about? I told them the story, 1864, the hanging of our 5 war chiefs up there. 150 years, this October 26th, marks 150 years. So Christy Clark's committed to come out, to exonerate our chiefs, to celebrate with us, to acknowledge this as part of our history. It's very important. That's what we were taught. You can change the 6 Tsilhqot'in chiefs every year if you want to. The faces will change. The position of our nation will never change. Because that's what we teach our young people. This is who we are. We want Maybe it's such a high standard that we hold for ourselves. You know, I talk about resources, financial resource to become independent again. We fought the Tsilhqot'in mine. We fought them twice. We were told we could never beat a company like the Tsilhqot'in mine. I love it when people tell me you can't do that. Well, you watch this. You look at the CEOs and all the board members of the Tsilhqot'in mine, check their salaries out. Check our salaries out as Tsilhqot'in chiefs. Hell, we do this. 2 of our chiefs didn't even have a salary. One of them was sitting right here. Both times we beat the Tsilhqot'in. People tell us, you know, Vancouver Island, they're negotiating. See, the land value on Vancouver Island is so much higher than you guys in the Tsilhqot'in. The Tsilhqot'in offered us $3 million to support their bid the first go-round. We told them it's not about money. It's about attitude and how you treat people. It's about acknowledging who we are. That's a spiritual ground. That would be like us as Tsilhqot'in people wanting to turn the Vatican into a bingo hall. Why wouldn't you guys? We're going to make lots of money. What's the matter with you white people? Aren't you about money? You should embrace this. Your religion is the only religion we're supposed to recognize. We have religion. You heard it right here. So it's not all about money. It's about our standard, how we live. We now have to go as Tsilhqot'in people. I'll hear lawyers come in and say, this is what's going to happen in the title case area. This is what's going to happen in the rights area. This is what's going to happen in the Crown area. I'll say, bullshit. What's going to happen there is going to be decided by us. We won that small area, but we're going to pretend we believe 100% that all of it is ours. Logging companies in Williams Lake are aware of that. They've figured out a long time ago, 10 years ago probably, that it's better just to work with us. They come to our office, they work with us. We've developed land use plan on our Crown land, and that's where we go now. Go a little bit deeper. Develop that. We developed that by not hiring experts and bringing them in. Bring in college students, some that can speak our language, and talk to an elder like this. Where did your family hunt? Where did you guys fish? Where did you guys pick berries? Where did you get your medicine plants? And as they're telling their story, you're mapping that out on your map. And when you go from one family to the next family to the next family, a pattern develops, and that becomes your land use plan. That's what we apply in the Tsilhqot'in. There's a place we call Rocky Point, and it's my clan area, not too far from there. And it was really neat to find out that that specific area, our people never allowed anybody from early spring to early summer not to go into that area. That's moose calving grounds. So we marked that whole area out. You know, an area follows a swamp. It's probably about 10 kilometers long, 2 kilometers wide. But now we don't allow anybody in there. And beyond that, we stretch it out a little bit more. Now there's no logging in there. That's not something we developed. That's something that existed for as long as we've been Tsilhqot'in people, and that becomes part of our land use plan. I know there are people out there, well, what does this mean? And it's up to each individual nation. How do you want to deal with this? Do you want somebody to come to your nation and say, this is what we're going to do for you? Then nothing's going to change for you. First Nation people, it's time to stand up. Start demanding this is how we want things. And if companies are going to come in, they better come in and introduce themselves and say, we're willing to work with you. Don't come in there with a business plan already in hand and say, this is the way it's going to be. Listen to me, and this is the way it's going to be. You don't believe me, just ask Brian Battis and Russ Halbauer of Tsilhqot'in Mine. Where are they at? Stumbling around. Now they're amalgamating 2 court cases, and they're going to take another run at the Tsilhqot'in. I got a message for them. I'm going to kick the shit out of them one more time in court before I'm ready to part ways with them. We will, Tsilhqot'in. In some ways, I thank them. I think they were partially responsible for this decision. Judges are as well. They see how we were being treated as one company, the arrogance of this company. They see the Idle No More movement. They see the stale process, the BC treaty process. The judges that made it sent the message to Canada, Stephen Harper, Christy Clark. Christy Clark's now met with us twice. That's the first time a Premier of British Columbia has come and met with the Tsilhqot'in people. And she'll be coming October 20th now. That'll be the 3rd time, and she'll be exonerating our chiefs. It's been a real emotional time for a lot of our members. We've struggled, we've fought. What does it cost to get to the Supreme Court of Canada? Tell people we were there at the Supreme Court, the door up there. Said admission up there, $60 million. You want to pick a fight and go? That's what it costs. But we had to pay that. We could have done a lot of other things with that $60 million, but on acknowledgement. We want to be treated in a respectful way. If Canada is the country that most people believe it is, we wouldn't have to do what we've done. We're politicians. We'll push the envelope. And we know what we want. We look at our quality of life on reserve, as I talk about. I'd love to do a study and find out where that is and gauge that against the average British Columbian, where we want to be. And all of those natural resources around us is a ticket for us to get back there, having access to that. And just to piss Tsilhqot'in off, I'll tell them, we know where there's a pot of gold to get us there. They aren't part of any of that. Companies, you come in, you meet with us, maybe appoint some of our members onto your board. Chief Bernie will express that over and over and over again. It's time to push us off to the side and pretend like we don't have a say. That's not there anymore. First Nations, this is a club. You have to learn how to use it. Use this case to your advantage, to better the lives of your elders, your youth. I don't want our youth to have the same struggles we had growing up. I want them to talk about government-related stuff, house type of things. That's what this is about. So I'm not sure how much time I have. A few minutes. And I think that's one of the challenges we have going forward from here is we've opened our door. We've met with BC First Nation chiefs from across BC. And we're looking to develop a new path, a new way forward. Clark's already acknowledged that what they have isn't working and they have to come up with something different. British Columbia, we've told British Columbia all of the funding formulas they have is not adequate. It's a joke. Williams Lake Indian Band signed an agreement with Mount Poly. They were anticipating $400,000 revenue sharing deal. They got $4,500. $4,500 for having that mine in their backyard. Forgot to read that small print. That's not what we want. We will never sign any agreement like that. So what we're going to come up with is going to be substantially different. Has to be, because we won't sign anything else. And it has to be enough to allow us to govern ourselves and our people and look after our people in a respectful way that's to and bring the standard of life on reserve. To be able to compare that with the rest of British Columbia, that's what we want. And those resources all around us, we're going to have, is going to get us there. Union of BC Indian Chiefs, the Summit Group, BC AFN, we're going to have to find a way to communicate with them. I've told all of the bands in the treaty process, the best thing you guys can do now is just put your nations on hold. Support us in establishing a new deal. And what deal we come, it will become the new template on dealing with First Nation issues in British Columbia. British Columbia is on board with that. They recognize that, and they see the need to do that. Stephen Harper, on the other hand, we need help from everybody to get him to our table. Guys him and his government have gone into hiding. We haven't seen them. But they're running a project right now in that tidal area up there at DFO. I'd like to tell them they have new landlords. They haven't paid their rent. They got to deal with me and the Tsilhqot'in Nation. We need them to that table. Worst case scenario, there's an election coming, but we don't want to be dependent on that. They told us Christy Clark wasn't going to get back in, and look what happened there. These polls I don't trust anymore. So that's our, to give back, to create hope. I think, we've been to Halifax, we've been all over British Columbia, and a lot of former chiefs have come forward, shaking our hand. We thought we'd never see this day. Vancouver Island Hulkameen Treaty Group, they went international court. Their lawyers out in New Mexico went to Belize. 3 weeks after our decision came down, said to Belize, the people there were celebrating. They were celebrating. They heard the First Nation people in Canada won title. First time Indigenous group anywhere has won title. There's hope. They're celebrating. This isn't just for Canada, it's for Indigenous people all around the world. It was a long journey. And there were a lot of times we were told, you're not going to get title. Don't ask for title. And on the eve, our chiefs got cold feet. We went in, we cocked it. We had quite a dust up. Said all of them years, the fighting, the arguing, the debates that we had, all of that, just throw it out the window if we change our argument now. Told them, if we go to the international court, I want to be able to say we've exhausted every avenue we have in Canada. That's why we're at the court. If we change our argument, we can't say that. We've weakened our argument in the international court. And finally I said, I don't want to be there when I'm 80 years old. I've lost my sight, I've lost my walk, I'm not able to walk or move, and all I have is my mind, just to be sitting there tormenting myself, wondering, what if? That this is who we are. We ask for the whole ball or wax or go home. We finally agreed, and it was the very next morning, the Supreme Court. Somewhere there bright and early. I stayed back. I was nervous time, but we had to ask for that. It was a lonely place. People kind of stepped back. You don't know. The Conservative government have made a point. They've appointed a lot of judges. We've had all of that stuff. We thought maybe 50-50, but eight judges, all of us. Our lawyers in our Court of Appeal, they said, we lost the appeal, what are we going to do? I said, good, we got them exactly where I want them. We'll swing the momentum the other way. That's what happened. There's a lot of layers to consider when you take on Aboriginal title, but the biggest thing we had was unity. We argued, we fought, we've debated, but our community members always made sure we worked together and stayed together. Aboriginal rights as an individual, strong rights. As a community, even stronger. As a nation, you can't be beat. That's what we believe. And as nations to nation working together, change will come, and that's what we're here for. I thank you guys for your time. It's an honor to be here. Honor the Shuswap people for inviting me down here. Always an honor. And thank you.